Hello guys and welcome back to the new home of 737DIYSIM here in Cornwall, UK. So this first room is the build studio and filming location. Everything in here is brand spanking new because our container is still stuck in Brunei. Not only does it have the sim stuff in it, but it's got all our household belongings as well. However, if we're to wait for that to arrive in October, you're not going to see a video until then, or at least a month after that. So I've put my hand in my pockets, I've got us some new tables, I have gone and bought a 3D printer, and that was the first thing I bought just so I could get things going. I've also bought the camera that's filming this, and it's just a little Sony camera, handheld. In the 2 months that we've actually been here in the UK, I haven't been idle. I have been really busy designing stuff and making sure that we can get parts out there now, because for the first time ever, we can offer actual physical parts. So to my right is the first ever product that I've created here in the UK, and it's absolutely massive, and that is the glare shield for the 737. It's full size, and it's 3D printed on the CR10 there. Hopefully you can see that it's built in 8 sections, all smaller parts to make a bigger part, and it really does just slot together like Lego. So that took about a week to create, about a week to print as well. It is actually hollow inside, so it saves all the PLA. There's big holes in there for the wiring. Put that to the side. Now, the reason why I designed that first was because being in the UK, the houses are a lot smaller. And if I take you next door to the sim room now, and I'll show you where the new sim is going to go. Let me grab the camera and take you on a little mystery tour. And really it's not, it's right next door. I'm just turning the camera around here and we're walking through. And this is going to be the sim room. Now in the sim room, the idea is to mount the TV, the 65-inch TV to the wall, and then we'll be able to push the relevant sim in front that we want to use. So for me, it's now going to be a compact single seat 737 that will just on wheels, and it will slide in position in front of the TV. When I want to use another sim and that sim is done, it'll be just pushed on wheels to the other side of the room and stored there, and then we'll wheel in the 172. Also next week I want to start work on the CRJ because I think that's got quite a nice cockpit as well. That's this sim room done. At the other end of the building is just a storeroom and bathroom. We'll head back through to the sim room, and outside or inside the house is the other room, and that is where I do all the design work, and that's where Helen runs the website. We've got one final room, and that's the laser room where the big laser machine is fitted, and that's now where we can produce the parts. Speaking of laser parts, I'm really pleased with how some of these parts turned out. The 3D printer was one of the first purchases I bought. It's a CR10, and then I also bought a 60-watt Omtech laser. It produces parts that look absolutely amazing, and this takes sim building to the whole next level. And the idea now that we're back in the UK is to offer these parts to you at hopefully a great price. And this is not a sales pitch, this is just what I've been doing in the last 2 weeks while I've been waiting for this camera to arrive and other bits, and just getting everything put together and processed. Of course, one of the main parts that was missing in the build so far was the Cessna ELT panel. So first up, we've got the ELT base panel, and hopefully the camera will focus in on that. And it's basically a white acrylic panel, 3mm thick. It's spray painted black and then laser etched, and the text and detail is absolutely brilliant. You can actually see the prop shape on the top logo there. And here we have the finished ELT panel. This is version 1, and that's because these wings are 3D printed that guard the button. The button just pushes in, and so does the LED from the back. And for version 2, we've got our panel again, but this time I've laser cut the wings out of Perspex. And the reason why this is better is because if I need to ship them, they can be shipped flat and you guys can build them together at home. And the parts just fit in there, and we use a bit of super glue to attach them. It's going to put a dab on the corners. It doesn't take much. And then just going to insert it into the hole and make sure it's straight. Do the other one. Then we need to find our switches. So I've got quite a big pot of them. We're going to make sure that the on button is facing towards the top. That just pushes in. And now it's got an LED to go in, and that should be a nice tight push fit into the hole, like so. And there we have our version 2 ELT panel. So here's one with the 3D printed wings, and now version 2 with the solid acrylic wings. Both look quite good either way. With the laser machine, we've also managed to create some great looking decals for the sim. So first up, we've got the fire warning caption here, and that looks really good on frosted red. Now you see we've got the master caution enunciators in orange and yellow, and that's because on different sims they're different colours. So I've just done a handful of each. Now you can get these on the website in 2 variants. You can get them in the fully finished, and then you get them in the really cheap, just laser etched, and you can fill them in yourselves. And of course the next big question I get asked all the time is how we create the great looking text on them. Now the majority of that is done on the laser itself, so it produces these squares really, and you probably can't see on there, but behind the writing there it is actually laser etched. And what we need to do is we just need to peel the protective coat off, like so. Now the O's and the P's, the B's, they all get a little bit left over and they're done. And actually, I've actually managed to push them into the A and the R there. So I need a little Stanley knife blade. Here we go. I'm just going to pick them out before we go, otherwise they do actually ruin the end finish. There we go, done. Got this bit of wood to protect the desk because it does get a bit messy. Going to put the square into this cutout I made on the laser machine. And before I go any further, the next question I always get is what wax I use. Now I do use wax rather than paint or acrylic paint. I tried acrylic paint, but it really didn't do a good job. It probably wasn't the correct stuff, but it took forever to dry, and then cleaning it up afterwards was a lot harder. I find wax is quick. As soon as you've put it on, it's ready to come back off. So, what wax do I use? It's the Liberon wax from Amazon. I think it's about £6, €6 a stick. Got 2 colours, obviously, because of the 2 colours of the captions required. You can see the black I use a lot more of. It's really run down here. Now, having the square in this slightly bigger bit of plastic makes it so much easier just to rub the wax on. Then just going to push it backwards and forwards a couple of times. And I found that you do have to go in various directions to get all the text filled in. Going to get a scrap bit of plastic just to remove the excess. With the caption fully filled in with the wax, I'm going to get some alcohol cleaner, just spray it on, bit of rag, and then just remove the excess to make sure it's nice and clean. Pop it out. take the wax off the edges, and the job is done. It's really as simple as that. And next you would have to apply some clear lacquer or varnish. I use matte lacquer and it makes a really good finish and just stops the wax from smudging or coming out of the engraved sections. And the next thing I want to show you is down here. Now this parcel was sent to me last week by a 737 pilot in the States. What an absolute fantastic package. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because now we have the real Enunciators from a 737. So as you can imagine, this box is full of goodies. We've got the, turn them the right way around, got the master caution and the fire warning Enunciators, and they're a lot more stiffer to push than I imagined. So when I create these on the computer next, they'll be identical. Perhaps not the backs, but the front should look pretty much the same, and I'll try and get the force the same as well. And I'm going to achieve that by these switches I found. And these are actually foot button switches, and they've just got they feel about the right size pressure to push for the buttons. So that's the plan. I'll draw that up on Fusion later, probably in another video, but that's what the idea with them is. Let's get those back into focus. There we go. And then we've got the 6-pack Enunciator, and again that is very stiff to push, so I'm going to have to come up with a way to replicate that. Also, I can now copy the exact face and dimensions and the size of the text exactly. What else have we got in here? I think these are more fire warnings, yes. This is the 6-pack that I was playing with earlier, and I'll show you this in a second. This is how it's built, and it's got 28 volt bulbs, filaments in the base here. I've temporarily fitted 2 LED bulbs which fit in quite nicely to see what the difference is and how they look, and I'll show you that with the power pack in a minute. Then we've got some decals. We've got our standard Enunciators, and that just pops into there. I think I've taken the filaments out, and that's because they're sat right there. Now I don't want to use 28 volts even though they look authentic, and I'll show you the LED replacements instead. Then we've got some real 737 knobs, and again I'll now be able to copy these identical. Hopefully, anyway. And you can see that they're actually made from a clear resin. And I'll hopefully do the same so it'll light up in the dark. And I think that, yes, it's just multiples now. I think every single Enunciator of the 737 is in here, at least from the MIP. There are absolutely loads of them. Let's get some power on. Let me show you what the 28 volt filaments look like and the replacement LEDs. So I'll stick the black on the ground pin. We will switch it on, and I'll try not to short anything out. There we go. There is the caption with the standard 28 volt lights. Now let me change this, because I do not want to attach 28 volts to a 3 volt LED. That would be disastrous. So we're going to put the negative onto the cathode legs, they're the shorter legs, and the anode onto the longer legs. There we go, that's lit up. Now that we can see there's no difference in the filaments, these are good to carry on with. So now let's try with the master caution Enunciator, and I don't think it matters because they're just standard filaments, and I'm going to put it onto the blue and red. Yeah, we're pulling 100 milliamps. Oh, there we go. Let's see if I can get this camera to focus. Good. And how cool does that look? That's the Master Caution Enunciator. And that just leaves one more, and that's a standard Enunciator to go. Yep. Okay, so we've only got one filament working, but I can turn the voltage up because we're only at, there we go, we're at 28 volts now. And we've only got one filament working, so if I pull it out, it was the left one. And these are the 387s. Just going to pull a filament out of another caption. Does it look alright? Yep. And check that out. That is pretty cool. I'll put the enunciators away for the time being. We'll come back to them and we'll probably do a fusion design on replicating them. Put them to one side. And that's pretty much for this video. I've got quite a lot going on in the background. I do have the Cessna 172 avionics panel. Let me show you the other part. So this was prototype 1. There we go. And you can see the text is very bold and large, and that's because it was designed for the 3D printer and I just tried to laser engrave it direct. However, went away, readjusted the design and made the text a lot smaller. In fact, hopefully the same size as the real aircraft, and it turned out a lot better. And that's what that one looks like. On the back, you can see a few switches. It's made of 3 layers of acrylic. Then we've got the light box at the back. And the very last thing to show you guys is the other prototypes that I've got going on right now. And this is the new audio panel, the GMA 1437. It's a Garmin audio panel for the Cessna, part of the G1000 suite. And you can see that we've now back printed the back plate, but we've got this laser engraved plate that fits on the front. And it slots in together like that. I'm not going to push it together because otherwise I'll struggle to get it back out. And then we can laser engrave the front, and that should produce a really good looking unit. And the final thing to show you guys is the prototyping of the new G1000. Now, as you can see, it's gone through quite a few revisions already. And however, I really like the idea of what I've just shown you with the audio panel, and that is to 3D print the parts and then laser etch the detail onto it so the text looks absolutely amazing. And this is the version that came off last night. This is the right hand side that I'm showing you now, and hopefully you can see that the text, try not to get the light on the camera, has come out really well. On this prototype, I got the sizing wrong on these 2 holes here, and you can, if I get you really close, you can see there's a gap between the 3D printed part and the laser etch panel. Once again, that's an upcoming video, and so there's lots coming. It's just that I don't have my equipment here. I've only got a single printer and everything is taking time. Until next time guys, sim out.